Boy, do we have reason to bitch. Although, I don't know. How do you look at this? Would you say, the Panthers made progress by making it into the second round of the NHL Stanley Cup chase? Now you have to win 4 rounds to win the thing, so pretty far off. They did get out of the first round for the first time, but didn't look too comfortable doing it, did they? Did they look like somebody that had to go to the bathroom the entire time they were sitting at dinner? But didn't want to get up because they want to go take a dump in a public bathroom while eating dinner there. That gets a little obnoxious. And then you come out of the stall and there's somebody else in the bathroom. They're just combing their hair and they're like, whoa, man, get a little fiber in your diet. Why don't you? I mean, try some wheat, anything.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Monday morning here in South Florida, welcome to South Florida Live. Wow, Lubie, as we launch our own new venture here. I guess we were kind of experimenting with this, but this is our first official day as South Florida Live, the Defo Show, kicking things off. We're going to add in a bunch of other shows and all kinds of different factors. A lot of ground will be covered. It's not going to be exclusive to sports, but it will concentrate heavily, I would imagine, on the angle of degeneracy, which
no,
we're known for our Degenerate Friday. And I'm going to experiment a little bit with this show because the cash in this business is obviously with people who can enlighten and illuminate the whole field of wagering, which now encompasses virtually everything. There's nothing that you can't bet on. And so we're going to get into that. So we'll be retooling things a little bit here, but essentially you still have the Defo Show kicking things off 7 to 9. And this is our first edition on South Florida Live exclusively.
Yes.
As we kind of bailed out on our other sources and decided let's take the quantum leap of faith.
We didn't bail out.
See if we can't.
We've had this in the works for a long time. Ever since I met you, this was your dream. This was your idea.
This was Defo Radio.
And we did it. And we did a good job. Yeah. It was a different world, and it's funny. When I tell people this, they don't believe me. But Jeff DeForest, Defo, Ken, me, whoever else, was ahead of the curve, and people don't believe that. But we were
way ahead of the time.
Ahead of the curve.
We just didn't have any money, and we had borrowed a bunch of money off some. I would have to say, you would consider these sort of shaky sources in terms of the usual financial world. The juice was turned on right away, and the pressure was really mounting as we finally paid these guys off, got them out of our lives. But you never really pay the debt when you're borrowing money in certain connections. It's not like we went to, Credit Suisse or whatever, one of those, big banks that normally lend money for these kind of projects. This was strictly, it was Eddie and Vito. Let's face it. Both of those guys have checked out, which certainly wasn't rooting for their passing. I actually like both of those guys. But, when Vito shook your hand and you still were in the red and owed a little bit on the principal, he certainly was able to express himself by breaking several of your metacarpal bones while being friendly. Even my feet hurt when the guy shook my hand. It was unbelievable. So, I don't think we had enough capital to really bankroll that thing. And this was that was probably like
2010,
13 years ago that we tried that. Okay, and it wasn't a bad idea, and we wanted to give people a little bit of a leg up. We already had jobs ourselves, but we're looking to expand and maybe do something a little different, take advantage of some of the liberties that you have in terms of the First Amendment and freedom of speech by being on the internet and being away from what we were doing at the time, which was terrestrial radio. Now, I don't like to go Joe Pesci on these kind of shows. We'll throw in the occasional this and that, but it's not really my game to just sit there and fire curse words at the camera all day and make it part of the conversation. So kind of trained to edit out some of that conversation. And yet it's nice to be able to throw in a zinger every now and then and realize, you know what? If we kept doing what we were doing, we probably were fucked. That was it. Anyway, Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, South Florida Live. Now, can we communicate to people? Obviously, the people that are watching have already found us. And we started out, let's say modest numbers. I think we had, like 3 subscribers to begin this thing. So we're getting it off the ground, literally from ground zero.
We're up to 50, which is pretty cool since we haven't even done anything yet.
Haven't done anything yet. So hopefully all of our regular people that were watching on Ion Channel when we were there will find us, and you'll be able to send other people in this direction. And as we expand our horizons here, hopefully very quickly the numerology will grow, and we'll be able to make a deal with somebody, sell it off, and get out of the business altogether, which a lot of people have been rooting for a long, long time. How was your weekend, Lubie, before we get into stuff? Because it's weird. Now, are the NBA Finals, is that still on, or did they end that and declare it a tie and give half of Larry O'Brien to Golden State and half to the Boston Celtics because the series ultimately ended in a 2-2 tie? It's like soccer now, the NBA. When was the last game? The last game was like a couple of weeks ago, wasn't
Friday.
it?
No, Friday. They had the Warriors save their playoff lives by fighting back after being down most of the game and won. And the series is now 2-2. You wouldn't know that because there wasn't a game the entire weekend.
Nothing. That was weird. You know, I was watching a promo on ABC, watching a little ABC action over the weekend, and I see, okay, good. Tonight's the game 5 of the series. I thought it was last night. So I figured I'd do my usual routine, watch a little 60 Minutes, even though it was a repeat. Very interesting. Find a way to kill 8 to 9, and then 9 o'clock. Tune in for 20 minutes of pregame conversation before they finally throw the ball up in the air and end the game around midnight, even though a basketball game only takes about 2.5 hours.
Exactly.
And then I realized, wow, they were talking about Monday night for this game, which I'm not usually one to complain. I mean, look, we're getting the sports for free over television. I don't know if we're paying any kind of a premium to watch NBA games that are televised on conventional network TV. But nonetheless, it does seem weird that this series has taken so long. And because I guess the Avalanche clinched and you had the Tampa Bay Lightning take out the Rangers in 6, we don't have the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, and that doesn't get underway until Wednesday of this week. The Lightning and the Colorado Avalanche, who were heavily favored to win the title at the beginning of the postseason, and certainly look like they're in a prime spot to do so, although you cannot count out the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just can't count them out. They're down 2-0. How much money could you have made? This is getting back to our good friend Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, who is featured on South Florida Live as one of the, early talk shows. About starting out right out with the big boys, right? Lubie and I just launching our show. Mayo's already got a show on South Florida Live.
Yes.
Like Mayo's Lunchbox, which we do every day from 12 to 1, and you can catch that live, and there's a video stream of this thing now, although there's still some unconventional stuff that we have to work out with the video stream. But you'll be able to catch it at the very beginning at 12 o'clock, and there's a lot to talk about. I went back to one of Mike's places that we did the show from, Costas, I guess.
Oh, nice. Oh, you did? I'm jealous. They had that menu's ridiculous.
This was great. You know what? It's always nice when, you're recommending a place. Obviously, they're sponsors of the show. We went there, had a nice time. The owner couldn't be any more gracious and, welcomed us in. And he was on the show and does a great, great job. But always nice to go back to a place and be even more pleasantly surprised about a place that you're recommending than you were when you originally recommended it.
Yeah.
So I was on my way up to...
This is actually really good.
I mean, really good. Unbelievable. Yeah, we stopped in there yesterday. I went to pick up some medical marijuana with the Mustang, so we had to jog up to Lighthouse Point. So I told her, I said, wow, this place has like some of the best pizza I've ever had in my life, including New York. Now, they do a New York-style Greek pizza, which happens to still have that layer of grease on it that I like. And then, a very crisp crust that they have. It's absolutely fantastic. It's not burnt on the outside like the New Haven stuff that's become very popular with the Pizza Spot. And then also Beats is another joint that Mayo is touting. But so I stop in there. We get one slice of pizza. They offer immediately to cut it in half. No faces like, oh, you're going to have one slice of pizza? Cut it in half for us. It was absolutely delicious. We ordered some wings to go. And then on top of that, they had the coldest beer that I've had in any of these type of restaurants. Absolutely fantastic. So for a quick pit stop, and that didn't even begin to touch some of the great items that they have on the menu there. So took a to-go item. It's going to be among my many go-to places now. Costas. We went there over the weekend, and we didn't go there with tremendous fundage, that's for sure, because the Belmont Stakes, I managed to whiff on that. Although I don't feel that badly about it. I only bet about $70 into the race. Piscataway Ray had the notion, good idea. Figured you couldn't really make a whole lot of money on the Belmont Stakes, field of 8. And most people, although they were dead wrong, thought that, speaking of people, we the people was going to go to the front and jog, and that did not transpire. I saw like a replay of the race. I didn't actually see it run live. Yeah, I did see it run live, but it was like off in a distance on a TV. We went to a party. I ran into the lovely and talented one this weekend, believe it or not.
Yeah, you never actually gave me the directions to the party, and I was like,
well, that was a different party. We went to two parties. We
Okay.
left one party on top of the other. Yeah.
Wow. Sorry.
Yeah, so that was good. No, our good friend Bill Murphy, a longtime DJ with WSHE, was with one of the big rock stations here in the 80s when radio was a very, very powerful medium. And he also, I think, worked at Big 105. I think he was there also. Anyway, he performs in a live band. He has very technically astute when it comes to recording studios and equipment. He's really into sound equipment and things like that. Has a band called Nobody's Fault. He invites, was 3 people celebrating their 60th birthday party, and he was one of them. So, and a couple of old friends of his from, I guess they went to like Plantation High School or something. So it was also a reunion of Plantation High School people from that era, DJs, music people, guys in bands. People are schlepping instruments in. They got a bar outside. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, we were there for the early portion. I'm sure it got a lot wilder as people got drunker and more inebriated later on. But while we were there, it was fun. And then Murphy says, hey, we need a drummer. And Mustang pushes me up on a stage.
I love that.
And the next thing you know, I'm involved in the band there off a 40-year layoff, which is not an easy situation. The hands, they started to shake a little bit. No, it was fun. Great time. And,
great.
There's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And so we had a great time there. And then we moved right from there to a place I'd never been to before called YOT. Have you heard of this place? It's a restaurant sort of in a marina. And very, very hip place. Fudge Brown was having their also 60th birthday party. So we celebrated 60th, and I'm thinking, it's so nice to be with these children.
Oh, no.
Really, I mean, you're looking at a bunch of guys that normally would have been considered old farts. And yet they look like kids to me. As, I'm approaching a very ugly number. Coming up in less than a month, Lubie. So I have to dedicate myself once again to, getting it back together. And that's why I'm glad we launched this. Nothing like before. I'm like Michelangelo, right? He started building the tower there on the Sistine Chapel, whatever that is. He started putting that together at 71. Meanwhile, all of his friends were dead for 30 years already because people checked out at 40.
There you go.
How did this guy do it? I mean, surprisingly, Michelangelo didn't come up with Viagra back then also in the 1500s. This guy was a fucking genius. I mean, he really was. What a disgrace, too, to mention Earl Scheib in the same breath while I was in the Sistine Chapel and say, well, they were both painters.
I think that's when it got quiet. And they all look at you
just
like,
as
what
the
the
crowd,
hell?
they just finished saying, Silencio. Which is very, authoritarian, isn't it? When a guy's in kind of hollowed hallways and then he starts screaming for silence and you're thinking, what's next? It's like, holy Anne Frank, they're going to take us away. Well, what is this? Silencio. But I guess it was appropriate there because they don't want you disgracing yourself, underneath what would be God's favorite chapel, the Sistine. Interesting, all the way around. But nonetheless, a lot of fun. So Leslie Visser was at the Fudge Brown birthday celebration at this place, YOT, where I got whacked, man. You ever get a surprise check where you're thinking, okay, had a couple of drinks here and an appetizer, and the next thing you know, it was like 2 sticks. But what I didn't realize is that the girls, the Mustang and her friend Kat, had indulged in 6 wines altogether at 16 a pop.
Oh, Jesus.
And the next thing you know, and then they whack you with an automatic tip, which I'm not a fan of the automatic tip. If you bring that up with Mike Mayo or Let's Eat South Florida, he's going to be the first guy to condemn it and say absolutely a horrible idea. And I usually leave more money than the automatic tip requirement, no matter what it is. I mean, this one was 20%, which is fine, but where 15% used to be the standard, 10% you're a cheapskate. Anything less than that, you're Canadian. There goes the Canada audience for South Florida Live. But we don't care who we alienate here on the show because the more you hate us, the more you love us. That's what people find. All right, get into the sporting world, and later on we're going to talk to Sean Deveney about the series. That last game didn't surprise me that Golden State bounced back. That Steph Curry is able to score 43 points in a game like that. you have to wonder against the vaunted and highly touted Boston Celtics defense. They can't find a way to stop one guy.
Well, and the fact that Draymond is useless. Clay's okay, Andrew Wiggins was okay, but Draymond had 2 points. Like, then that means put all your attention on Steph. The stuff he was doing was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, no, the guy had a great ball game. I mean, he made over 50% of his shots, and these were circus shots for the most part. Even the stuff he took from inside the paint, he's throwing those high lob floaters up there, and everything he was shooting went in. Tatum, I guess, wasn't particularly sharp in his ball game. Was this the game where I see it's so long ago? Which was the game where there was nothing but a highlight series of bricks from Tatum? That had to be game 4, where he was bricking everything.
Yeah, he was 8 of 23. He was 8 of 23.
Yeah.
He wasn't really good in this game.
Way off. I mean, like just way off. He was in this game. So, look, it seems to be. I mean, if you look at even the odds to win the MVP, there are 2 guys that have a chance at this thing in this series, aren't there? There's Steph Curry, who's going to be the overwhelming favorite now. I believe at minus 145. Forgot to bring my little odds sheet out here. But, no, of course, look, even if they lost and he continued to play like this, he would have a shot to be the MVP. But whoever wins, it's either going to be Curry or Tatum to be the MVP. And those guys have prohibitive odds, with Curry being now a much heavier favorite. And everybody else is like 1,000 to 1 to win the MVP. By the way, speaking of odds, Lubie, Hurricanes, no respect off their Sweet 16 of last year.
Oh, for basketball.
Did they make it just Sweet 16, right? They didn't make the grade 8, right?
I don't think they got to the 8s.
Yeah, Sweet 16. They lost in that third game of the NCAA tournament, but 100 to 1. I guess when you graduate, guys that have been in school longer than Plutarski, your odds are going to be stretched a little bit the ensuing year. But 100 to 1 to winning NCAA basketball championship. I think Florida State's like 80 to 1 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you might want to put a couple of bucks on that, Lubie. Usual suspects are all there at the top. This is getting way ahead of ourselves talking about it, but
that's interesting that you're going there.
Well, I just happened to look over this list of preseason odds, which is kind of early to tell because who knows what any of these teams are going to look like. But Kentucky was the favorite. Now, are they returning some juniors or something? I mean, what's going on there? Did Calipari switch his entire strategy?
No. He went back to getting. Well, Duke had an insane class. Kentucky was right there.
Duke is among the favorites again.
Well, Duke had like 3 or 4 of the top 30 players, or top 10. It was ridiculous, the class they had. Kentucky was close again. So Kentucky got back to being great. If you notice, they don't have a slew of guys leaving. So they actually will have some veterans combined with young guys, which the last time they really had that was the year they won the title. So I guess that's what they're thinking is Cal now. And Cal's getting older. Like, he's got to be getting to the point where he's like, all right, a lot of his contemporaries are gone for the most part. Like Roy Williams done, Krzyzewski done. It feels like Pitino is doing it for fun, but it's not like he's doing it on the big scale right now. And it feels like at some point sooner than later, he'll be gone. So, you're thinking this is near the end for Coach Cal. So he's got to try and and he only has 1 title. Like, he's in the same breath as all these guys. All these guys have multiple titles. Yeah. He only has 1.
That is the case, yeah. I mean, was he stripped of any? Did he win a couple and they just, took his number down? That's possible. It was like Riddick Bowe losing the WBC heavyweight championship belt. It's too late, my friends. It's after the fact. We saw who won the championship. I don't know what kind of punitive damages that really amounts to when the guy won the title. It's kind of like when they took the wins away from Bobby Bowden.
Yep.
Even though he was a cheating fool his entire... No, we love Bobby Bowden.
He didn't get in trouble for that. He got in trouble for bullshit. He got in trouble for, kids in baseball cheating on online classes, and a couple football kids did it. And he, you're telling me that's happening at every school? That's what he got in trouble for.
You really believe that in his brilliant career that was the only indiscretion that Bobby Bowden was guilty of?
No, but it's like Al Capone. Al Capone got put away on tax evasion.
Yeah.
Because that's what the worst thing Al Capone did,
Yeah, he made like $8 billion selling drugs to little kids, but shooting up distilleries.
That's what I'm saying. Bobby was obviously cheating, but I'm saying they didn't get him on the cheating. They got him on the stupidest thing. That's what's annoying to me.
All right, so where do we stand with this thing? This NBA championship. It's 2-2. Game 5 is tonight. It's in San Francisco.
Yes.
So Golden State naturally would be a favorite in this ball game. They look like, the firepower they have, they don't sustain the runs like they used to when they were just virtually unstoppable. And Klay Thompson isn't as reliable as he was in the past, where, if for some reason you were able to get Steph Curry to give up the ball without hitting a three-pointer,
Yeah.
there was Klay Thompson or any number of others, including at one time Kevin Durant, to go ahead and pick up the slack for the Golden State Warriors. So they're not in that mode where they're going to, go out there and score 135 points a game. But they're able to do it in spurts. And can the Boston Celtics, much more pedantic and pedestrian offense, match up with those spurts? That seems to be the gist of the series. Now, both teams have been horrible in spots also. I don't know that I've seen where Boston's defense has been so overwhelming, but they did win 2 games out of the 4 so far, including one on the road to open up the series. So I don't know that you can discount them. And I would have to say that basketball, especially Eastern Conference variety, has been the most Jekyll and Hyde performance by virtually every team that's been in the mix.
Yep.
Where the Miami Heat were up and down, the Boston Celtics were up and down, and they're doing an exact replica, reasonable facsimile of what they did in the Heat series, where every other game they're good, and every other game they throw in like at least a 12-minute period where they're absolutely horrible. And I don't know how it's going to play out tonight. For some reason, I'm under the impression, like the easily formable impression, that Golden State's going to win this ballgame tonight. I don't know how you feel about it. So, let's hope we're wrong and that the Celtics are able to make this a much more challenging series. Forcing, I don't know. I don't really have a big rooting interest in this series for some reason. I know you hate Boston. I don't.
I don't hate Boston like Ken does.
Yeah.
I've grown I can't stand the Patriots, of course, and I've grown to have an issue with the Celtics because the Heat have played them twice in the last 3 years. So our fans and their fans have gone at it. So I've grown to hate them based on that. And the Warriors are fun to me. Like, you open my eyes to the way the Warriors play basketball. It's, they spread the ball. It's open. They shoot a little bit too many threes for me. I'd rather them, not do it out of every 3 possessions twice.
Yeah, that's escalated though, even more so.
That's what I'm saying. It's gotten
worse.
worse.
In the last couple of years. I mean, the last couple of years they weren't this same Golden State Warriors team, but they definitely are relying more on 3-pointers, as is virtually everybody in the NBA, than they were even when they had any number of 3-point shooters, sharpshooters. They still would work the ball inside and fast break more often. They ended up, it seems to me, with a lot more inside points back in the day. That may be completely incorrect. I'm not the Elias Sports Bureau here or some sabermetrics guy. Don't look at me like I'm Bill James or something. But that's just my general impression that the flow of the game, Golden State style, circa like 4 or 5 years ago, what was just absolutely a beautiful thing to watch. It was everything that you liked about basketball if you were an old school New York Knicks fan and you were watching Bill Bradley come off with the Busher pick and sink a 17-footer, and you see Red Holzman there on the sidelines going, did he make it? No, Red was fine. I like all coaches named Red. I loved Auerbach. I liked Holzman. I love Shane Dienst. I mean, any coach. The only Red I wasn't a huge fan of was Red Barber, even though he seemed like a very affable guy. But I thought he was boring as an announcer. I really did. I mean, as brilliant as Vince Scully is with his style that he emulated and said that he learned and just took everything that he could from the great Red Barber. When I was a kid growing up, Red Barber was the least interesting of the 3 Yankee announcers. Is that a fair statement to anybody that's on our chat line here?
That's
on
funny.
South Florida Live. No, if you were growing up at that time, Lubie, you would have thought this. I know you would have thought the same thing.
I'm not fighting you. I just know that you're the guy
Mel
that
Allen,
hates.
man, unbelievable. How could you not love Mel Allen? One of the greatest voices of all time in all of sportscasting, the great Mel Allen. And unfortunately, I mean, a little bit of a drinking problem, but on top of that, he wasn't really well known until he did This Week in Baseball, which was just a shell of what he did as an overall, performer on Yankee games. He was tremendous. He was the voice of the Yankees forever. And it's really amazing that John Sterling has outlasted probably by like 50 years, the number of years that Mel Allen was doing Yankee baseball. John Sterling, who now is, I give him credit, man. I mean, if you're still hopping around and doing this shit at like 86 years old and you're feeling good about it, all right, so you miss a couple of plays. But they're cutting down his schedule. I mean, it'd be rough to travel on the road and pack and unpack. I know you stay in baseball. It's kind of a luxury because you stay in a certain city for 3 or 4 days. So it's not like you're hopping from town to town on a 7-game West Coast swing if you're following a basketball or a hockey team, which I mean, it's a great job to begin with, but at 86, do you really want to be doing all this schlepping? Especially when you can't see. I mean, if it's Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton at the plate, it doesn't even matter to John Sterling anymore. Yeah, looks like Stanton. Oh, there you go, Mickey.
Mickey. Be great if he threw in a Joe D.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had DiMaggio in second the other day. Joe D, in addition to all of his great skills, he's a tremendous, astute base runner.
That's unbelievable, John. And Joe DiMaggio would come out here and be on second base. I mean, the way you spouted that is like...
And then she comes in and references it like it's real.
Broadcast. This is what they foisted on that. I mean, the very clever and deep sports fans of New York who know good from bad. At least you would think that they do. Is that true, or do New Yorkers actually have lousy taste? What do you think? Now I grew up in New York, and I consider myself, although Mayo would dispute this because he thinks that I don't know anything about all of these different restaurants that we're going to, and I'm always ordering the wrong thing. But I'm a creature of habit also. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm willing to try new stuff, but I don't need to eat chocolate-covered grasshoppers to prove that I have an open mind. Do you?
No.
Not when they have a ribeye steak on the menu. I'm sorry.
I agree.
All right. So, the general assumption seems to be that Golden State is going to win the championship at this point. They're favored they're like minus 140 to win the title now.
Tonight's 3 and a hook. 3 and a hook tonight, which has been sort of where they've been at with Boston.
They've proven us wrong. I mean, I believe this stat would still hold up, although it may also, look similar in reverse. But they are 7-0 after a loss in the postseason so far. They have not lost 2 in a row in the postseason.
Yeah.
So is tonight the night that happens? I'm not sure. I don't know that I could give you any great insight into the way this game is going to be played tonight. I didn't think that Boston was going to lose that game 4 because they seem to be controlling the tempo throughout a good portion of it, were they not? The third.
Oh no, the Boston controlled that entire game. No, I kept waiting for the Warriors to do something, and I had resigned myself to the fact that the game was over. Like there was like 6-7 minutes left, and the Warriors weren't getting totally annihilated, but they weren't able to really take a lead, and it was like, okay, Boston's done this the whole playoffs. They're going to win this freaking game. Damn it. And then Steph was like, no, that's not, no. And Steph sort of just carried them, which I give him a lot of credit. It's just interesting to me to see Draymond Green be this useless. Like, I get he's not scoring 20-something a game like he did when he was a MVP finalist, but 2? Like, you can't have 2.
Yeah, and he's been discombobulated. I mean,
not involved.
Normally this guy's making a lot of clever plays.
Yeah.
Stuff that, as they say, it doesn't show up in the box score.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and you need that type of player. Marcus Smart scores points, but he does a lot of those same things for the Boston Celtics. But Draymond Green, he'll get a pass at the high post, that there's lobbed into him from some 3-point shooter that got stuck. And, he throws Draymond a lob pass. And then quickly, Green knows exactly who the cutters are going to be to the basket and delivers like a perfect strike on a bounce pass, and even if if it was hockey, he'd be getting the second assist on a lot of plays, right? It would be Curry from Thompson and Green.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't started. I mean, they're very liberal with assists in basketball, aren't they? Oscar Robertson should be screaming at Adam Silver every day. What's up with these bogus stats? I'm the Big O, for God's sake.
He got jobbed.
Right, because now, I mean, you could throw a ball to a guy, and then he goes into a Mark Jackson mode and, puts it on the floor 37 times in the low post, and then finally, after traveling 3 different ways, puts in a layup, and they give you an assist on that play. Like, what? Usually, my concept of an assist was it had to be a pass that directly led to a basket.
That's the idea, yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a catch and shoot if it's on the outside, and it's some kind of interior pass that frees a guy so wide open that he scores a bucket. And I don't know. I mean, how guys accumulate all of these assists, because it does seem like it's a much easier stat to acquire now than it was back in the day, Lubie. You always love those back in the day references. All right. So there's our dissection of the basketball finals. We know nothing. I couldn't tell you who's going to win tonight. I'd be inclined to believe that Golden State is going to win the series, only because of the fact that I think that their momentum swing will bring them home tonight. So I would bet every dime that you have in your pocket, I would unload those stock accounts. I was looking at this little E-Trade account I have, which I inherited from my mother. It's only got like 3 dimes in it, but might be time to sort of divest myself of all of these investments, right? As every corporation in America is going to be swimming in a sea of red ink so deep that not even your boy Donnie Trump could get us out of it. You watched this thing last night? I think it was a repeat on CNN. It was the Watergate investigation. But they somehow CNN, naturally. I mean, look, I'll give the right-wingers credit for this. They do have to work in some Trump bashing into everything. So at the very end, I mean, they got like John Dean talking about how this was like the biggest disgrace of a presidency he's ever seen. Now people will dispute that and say, well, look what happened now with Joe Biden, who is Biden. Look, I voted for him, and I prefer anybody but Donald Trump to be president, which that's going to offend our good friend Mike Nyman, who's tuned in. Thank you, Mike, for finding us here on the show. But that's just my opinion, all right? We've stood behind this position all along. We're not changing now. I mean, if you look at what was going on, whether you believe all of this stuff with the January 6th committee, I mean, it's a disgrace. A disgrace, absolute disgrace. Guy sitting there in the White House with his thumb up his ass, cheering on the fact that these maniacs are storming the Capitol building with guns and threatening to kill the vice president of the United States. And he's sitting there going, hey, like he's watching the Cubs in the World Series that year, break the curse of the Billy Goat. I mean, yeah, wow, even if you're not a Cubs fan, you're thinking, I'm rooting for the Cubs. Rizzo, go ahead, hit another one. Ivanka's hair is standing up like Don King. She's going, Donnie, do something. It's just a disgrace. And the guy's sitting there. So that's just me. I mean, if Trump's policies were the same and he was a different person, I might be, more inclined to actually consider whatever it was he was saying. I just had a horrible thought because what if Ron DeSantis ends up becoming president?
I was going to say Ron DeSantis is a different person.
That's very possible, yeah. Because they're saying Biden's too senile to run again. That even
Biden, I don't see running again, and most Democrats don't want him to. Look, at some point we got to get away from having the old man. People are right when they say this. Like,
how about some young blood into this?
We don't let people drive after a certain age, right? We don't let. Yeah. Usually, if you're running a company after a certain age, you either pass it on or you become, a figurehead.
John Sterling, right?
Exactly. But
there's a fly ball in left field.
Our president can be 80-something. It's like, what? Like, this is supposedly the most stressful job on the planet. So then what? So none of us wanted to, like, that's why I was so weird about people who are so behind Trump, because I was not behind Biden. Like, I don't want a 78-year-old or whatever the hell is my president. I just,
there was an overwhelmingly, forceful presence. Let's put it that way.
No.
Not exactly dynamic. I mean, you wouldn't say that Joe Biden is dynamic. He's more like Joe Philbin.
Yes, he's actually very much like Joe Philbin.
It'd be like putting on older Joe Philbin in charge of the country at a crucial time. But, we'd been, I mean, I know the economy was good, but, this is cyclical by nature.
Wow.
So, and some of the other stuff that was going on, I mean, it was just pure chaos and Armageddon. There was nothing ever like this, even in the Watergate era there with old Tricky Dick. But pretty interesting stuff last night. But they somehow let it into, condemnation of the Trumpster and then tease the fact that they'll have the Capitol hearings on tonight. So maybe they had their own hidden agenda there. All right, Pucks, do we know anything? The Lightning, wow.
What happened to the Rangers?
I know a lot of Ranger fans are disappointed. The Rangers played and represented themselves very well. This was not a Ranger team that anybody thought was going to be anywhere near a Stanley Cup, sniffing a possibility of going to the Stanley Cup Finals. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, I mean, and if you're a degenerate, this is where, and I mentioned Mayo for a reason about a half hour ago, but what I meant to get to was he had seen that the Lightning were going to sweep the Florida Panthers.
Yes.
And then if you really have balls now with the way betting is configured, you have to sort of go Johnny Chan and go all in almost on a bluff when sports betting if you really want to make a score. Now, the difference is you're probably not going to win a giant percentage of these bets, but you're going to get paid so handsomely, so generously that it's going to more than make up for your losses. And look, is there anything better than making a big score? Lubie? You can have, your $100, $200 winning days at the track, but when you walk out of there with like 12 grand,
Yeah, exactly. I've never done that, so
now
I
we're
don't know that
talking.
feeling.
Now we're talking. Yes, I'd like that Blue Wave runner. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
no, no,
exactly.
just no payments. Here you go. Do you accept cash?
Like a
Like you're
baller.
some crypto dealer or something.
Like, exactly.
Was
Dealer.
Crippy dealer at one time.
I
Now
was
it's
gonna say it's
crypto.
not crypto dealer.
How many cryptocurrencies are there? There
Oh, a
are
lot,
more
thousands.
currencies than there are around the world, right? I mean,
Yeah, there's thousands. Yeah.
So
There's
how's
just a lot.
anybody making money on that, or is it
Right now, they're
eventually
not.
just gonna go away?
Right, the last 4 months they haven't been.
It's like investing in cotton candy, isn't it? I mean,
It's a
right?
little
Where
interesting.
you look at this thing on the stick there, when the guy's coming around at the ballpark, you say, I'll have a blue and a pink, which a disgrace. I mean, and this was at a Marlins game many years ago, and I'll never forget the picture because it's indelibly impressed upon me, the price gouging at ball games. All right, so we're at a Marlins game, which they're lucky. They have to pay the people to come in, even though the team lately has shown signs of life, right after rumors were rife that Don Mattingly might get fired certainly at the end of the season, but maybe even in mid-season. Don Mattingly, nicest guy in the world, right?
Yeah, big fans.
Did a hell of a job, with some very difficult circumstances, and then actually got the team into the postseason. But yeah, truthfully, it isn't like he's lighting the world on fire with this ball club either.
No,
very. They've been to the postseason 3 times, right? And never made. And they won the World Series twice. They got to the second round this last time, but that's it.
Yep.
3 times in the postseason.
Yep. And he's been there a few years now. And I get it. It's not him, it's the talent. But okay. Like at some point, and we like Mattingly. Like
I love Mattingly. You know what? Just a little bit that we got to know him from those few conversations we had at spring training, and we talked to him on the phone a couple of times, with our radio show. We would get him on occasionally, at least a couple of times a season.
Yeah.
And he was great. Just absolutely a delight. You couldn't help but root for this man. I was always a Mattingly fan. I'm sure a lot of you former New Yorkers were. He was kind of after my era of being a diehard Yankee fan, long after it, actually, right? He played in, the 80s?
Yeah.
And, so, my Yankee affiliation essentially extended from my first recollection on the planet here, which I believe I was like 4 or 5 years old. And then, I rooted for the Yankees until 1962 when the Mets came along. And I decided to stop being a front runner, rooting for the Celtics, the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, these were easy things, right? I don't know. I might have even I never rooted for Notre Dame. I would have to say, even as a kid, God. Notre Dame was like.
Oh, thank God! I was gonna go, please, not Notre Dame.
And that's what apologies to the great Paul Hornung, who was just a terrific guy and a degenerate's degenerate. And
yes.
I wish, in some ways, Lubie, that I had known you a long time ago because of some of the people that we got to hang out with back in the day who have Hornung checked out, didn't he? Hornung gone?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, wasn't that last year? He was a number. There were a number of just greats of all time that were claimed, especially during that whole COVID period. I mean, wasn't that like presiding over a wake, doing sports during that period?
2020. You're right. November 2020, right in the heart of COVID. Yep.
Yeah, Paul Hornung, the great one.
Baseball lost like a ton of.
Everybody was going right. Bob Gibson, Whitey Ford,
all of Aaron. Yep.
Are we killing off anybody that's still alive?
No, they're all bad.
An unfortunate tendency to do that. Anyway, so I'm at this Marlins game, and I enjoy going to baseball when I go, although it's become more and more of a difficult decision. The negatives far outweigh the positives for me, where it used to be just a natural thing. And I've always said this because people always talk about the conditions in South Florida and how, well, it's a tough place to sell a sports ticket because there's so many other things to do. And I consider that the ultimate in bullshit in terms of an argument about the South Florida sportsman, because the truth of the matter is, if you want to go to a game, you're going.
Yeah, it's easier.
No, but you're going. On top of that, I mean, here, not only do you have just extremely easy access to most ball games, you drive right up to the hockey arena. There's no traffic. You might have to stop for the red light for 1 second at the corner there before you make those turns and realize, wow, I got to pay for parking? You got to be.
What do you mean? You understand? Sawgrass is open till 9:30, and the movie theater is open till later. And as long as you're not a jerk about it, you can park for free, and you don't mind walking.
I don't really love that Sawgrass move anymore.
I know you're older.
I got
you don't want to walk.
a freebie parking when I was driving a Lexus.
With the Lexus, yeah.
So you'd roll right in there. That was great. Now, can you fool a guy and put like a Lexus logo on my Volkswagen just for like, would they know the difference between a Lexus Tiguan Lexus SUV and my Volkswagen Tiguan? Probably not. They look similar. They really do. Actually, I like the Tiguan better, especially since it's about a third of the price.
Exactly.
Is it worth it to make a move like that? You know what? We should try that. And let's get some GoPro cameras for South Florida Live and do a couple of Lubie at Large type of things. And we'll try various ways to sneak into events without paying.
That's actually a good
see what
idea.
we can get into.
I see what's funny.
That could be a serious area. We may end up with Portnoy if we pull this one off. Yeah.
No, that's a thing. Like you were talking about the other day, and I was like, I've done that before. I did that when I went up to FSU one time for FSU UF when both programs were still pretty good, and I snuck into a game. Like I literally got, and it was a big game, and there was a crowd of people, and I snuck in, and I was like, wow. So Defo was doing this a lot. I did it one time, and it stressed me out.
We had all kinds of bogus methods of getting into ball games, but then when we started working at the stadium, my friend and I, we used to go to some of the night games. You had to be 16 to work at night in New York. And I started working at Shea when I was 14. So for a couple of years, I was only doing the day games, which fortunately back then, can you imagine this? They scheduled day games.
Yeah, that's fine.
Saturday day game, Sunday a day game, and a doubleheader. You would have like a Wednesday day game. I mean, I worked a lot of games back then. And but at night, we would find a way to work our way into the stadium there. And then it was $1, Lubie, to bribe an usher for 2 box seats ahead of the president of the National League. Is that Bill White behind us? Yeah, hey, Bill, how you doing, man? I liked you when you were on the Yankee games, right?
That's crazy.
No, I'm not taking my hat off. $1. That's all it took to get those seats. Oh, no, they only cost like $3.50 though. Can you imagine? $3.50 for a box seat.
That's
and you had to debate whether to pay the $3.50 for a box seat down on the field or $2.50 for I believe it was called a mezzanine. It was like this brown section of seats in Shea Stadium, and those seats were dynamite, man. I mean, like right behind home plate, second level. You're calling balls and strikes with like Harry Windelstadt. Anyway, a good start, to the season for both the Yankees and the Mets. Sensational. Yes. The Mets have 40 wins, I believe, and the Yankees 44. Willie McCovey time. So, and the Yanks are on a pace. I think the New York Post and the New York tabloids, they jump on these stories and they really, really build them up. There are 8 pages on the Yankees today and even a couple of pages on the Mets, who still take second place in obviously the hearts of New Yorkers because they're aiming all of their coverage on this sensational Yankee start. Aaron Judge, huh? Does the guy ever look better? I mean, is there some kind of tragic ending to this story that we don't see?
Well, health.
Like the guy's always like Ronnie Stratton, man, with like a wooden leg, something, at the end of the whole thing, and has to make a comeback 3 years from now, playing for the league minimum. Because he turned down, $230 million.
Yeah, but I think they've already upped it to 300 something. Like I think they've already started talking again and been like,
how could they let this guy walk? If he just decided to sit out the rest of the season, there would be a movement in New York that was heavier and more compelling than even the movement to get rid of de Blasio, right? The last mayor of New York, who everybody despised, even the people that voted for him.
Yes,
thought, wow, this guy is a real asshole. Hey, you know what? You're an asshole. You're out.
That's actually how they
should be that easy to vote out politicians that you believe to be assholes, which really is pretty much almost all of them, huh? Is that a qualification for becoming a politician? Are there any good ones out there anymore? Like any people that you look at and you go, wow, that guy's very fair about everything. I don't care that he doesn't agree with me on all issues, but you know what? His opinion is to be respected. Is there anybody out there of that caliber?
I mean, I guess on both sides, I'm sure there's people that people look up to. There's no one that to me is unilaterally respected like that. Like there's not a John McCain where like both sides are like, okay, that guy's a freaking G. Like there's not really, that doesn't really exist anymore. Like if I would say like a Cory Booker, who's like a nice guy, I guarantee there'd be a big backlash because I'm sure he's done something because they all have done something Yeah, we
Every
live in
now
that
and then,
world.
I'll see an interview with some representative. I go, "Wow, that guy's cool. Where the hell is he from?" He's like, some schmank from Wyoming or something. But
Yeah.
all right, we don't want to get too deeply into that because we have other sports to examine. We're on baseball here. Okay, so I never got to this atrocity, right? At
Yes.
the Marlin
Okay.
game. Now the Marlins
Yes.
playing much better ball. Jim Sarney,
Yes.
our good
3
friend,
out
I
of
hope
last
he's
4.
been able to find a show here on South Florida Live, Lubie's new channel, man. Now, did you ace me out in some kind of copyright, and I don't have a piece of this thing, or
No,
how's
it's
that work?
ours. This
Oh,
is
yeah, okay.
it's not
Is it
my.
registered?
I we need to
When
ready
I sell
actually.
this thing off in 2
Yeah,
years and
thank
I
you.
get my retirement stash and end up in the Dominican with a little jet ski and a wooden boat betting account.
This is our thing, and
Yeah.
it's going to be everyone's thing. That's the point of what we're doing. Is all the time we've been in this industry, the
We know a lot
people.
of people can make this work. Right? We actually
Well, it's
do.
not. It's well, that's true, and I've already started reaching out to people. But to me, it's just the idea of management was always the enemy, and I didn't understand that. And
Yeah.
management was always ignorant to reality, and then also didn't want to listen to those who actually had experience. Like that's something I've learned from you is those who are your forerunners, you shouldn't hate their experience is a positive. Yes, the world
Oh,
changes,
absolutely. Yeah.
be fluid, but it's okay to listen to them. It's okay to
There's
take
nothing
in,
we haven't seen. I mean, that's what it's
and
all
that's
about.
my thing. And that's the idea with
Including
this is to take that in.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, if you go back into the day, the heyday of, when this business was a lot of fun, I was reminded of it. And it's fun now. I mean, it certainly is. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of hard work to do if you're going to have success. But nonetheless, at least you're doing it for yourself. But yeah, I mean, the whole Bill Murphy thing. I mean, there were a lot of guys that were in the business. It was a heck of a lot of fun. But that's when creativity was encouraged, believe
And
it or
that's
not,
it. And that's the thing.
in certain areas. That you would do what you thought was just way out there on the edge stuff, and a guy would come in after and say, "So when are you going to loosen up?" What are you reading a monologue? Well, what the hell is that? Make it up on the fly. You're still telling a story about the cotton candy, and we've condemned every politician in the United States and told you that we know nothing about any of the major sporting issues of the day. All right, and golf also was very much in the spotlight. Belmont, like I said, was sort of for me. Didn't cash a ticket. Mo Donegal, nice. The public nailed it though. They made Mo Donegal the favorite when everybody, including our experts on the show, had We the People jogging. I didn't see that for some reason. That was one thing I was more than willing to bet against. And Piscataway Ray, who you met, how crazy is that cat? Piscataway
He's
Ray.
great. Yeah, he's great. His voice is better than mine.
Isn't it great, man?
His
I
voice
told
is
him
like old
he ought to
school.
do something with us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. His voice is like
You
old school.
better consider throwing a three in. I was at Hollywood Park in the 60s, and wow, I couldn't believe it.
I feel like I'm hearing a newsreel from the 1960s whenever he talks, and it's great. Like I love it.
It's like listening to Harry Henson at a dinner table. The great grasp. He had that grizzled voice.
Yep.
And yeah, he was fantastic. Right, called races for a long time in Chicago, and then out in Los Angeles.
The Bart, John Henry.
All right, so the cotton candy, right? Kid comes down. This is circa probably 10, 12 years ago, Lubie. So imagine this is double-digit inflation every day, going up exponentially. Before you know it, what? A stick. Mustang spent 3 sticks at the grocery store the other day. Literally, you would have thought that we were in some bombed-out village in the Ukraine when we opened up the fridge. It's like, it's nothing. Like some packaged chicken salad I don't even like, and like a thing of cream cheese. That was it. 2 things of cold cuts that the dogs eat in like 1 second. They prefer boar's head, by the way.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
All right, so a guy comes down. He's got the cotton candies. He's got the pink. He's got the blue. He's got the blue. He's got the pink. He's got a full rack because nobody in their right mind would be buying this shit. Okay? Cotton candy. Humid, sticky night. Roof is open there.
Yeah,
at the
everyone's
ballpark.
got candy.
Mosquitoes are flying. They're swarming all over, and you're going to go ahead and bite into a thing of cotton
Sugar.
candy. But who loves cotton candy? Kids, right?
Of course, 100%. Yep.
All right, so the mother gives the kid a five to run to the end of the aisle and get a cotton candy. And so he gets the cotton candy, and the guy looks back at the kid at this sorry-looking $5 and says, $8.
Oh, really?
$8
For cotton candy? Even then? Even now?
10 years
Cotton
ago,
candy.
cotton candy. $8. Think
Oh,
about
that
this.
can't be a thing. Cotton candy.
The
Sugar.
owner of the team, this Barry Bruce Sherman, he should have resigned in disgrace. I think that Laurie owned the team back then.
I was going to say that's before Sherman. Don't blame Sherman.
David Sampson was probably twirling his shit in the back. Look at this, $8 a pop. We're going to cream every little kid in the ballpark. Yeah?
It's like 5 cents.
All right, so now there's a look of horror on the kid's face, right? He turns back to the mother and goes, Mommy, it's $8. And she, gives the kid the finger and says, then that's it. No cotton candy. And he came, crying back to the seat.
Yeah,
Now I had to listen to this little kid crying for the next 3 innings of a no-hitter.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So all I can say is, fuck you, Jeffrey Lloyd.
Well, it's a good way to end. After all that.
So sad, man. I'll never forget the look on the kid's face, the horror. I was like Colonel Kurtz, man. Turns around to his mother and says, it's 8 sticks. Wow. That would be 800 today, actually. Thank you, Joe. I don't know what we're going to do about this. That can't be the answer to everything. I'm sorry. Right? I don't know. My hands are tied. That's how we are on this show. South Florida Live. This is our first show as a solo entity, Lubie?
Yes. We have content up there, but this is our first show on live on South Florida Live.
I like my computer, for some reason, the sound sucks on my old computer. Okay. I'll have to listen to this on some other source. I'll stick the headphones in there. But
watch it on your phone.
I saw you put the video up. I'm glad you dug that up of the Dolphins defensive.
Yes, it's so fucking weird. I looked for that forever, and
Where'd
for some reason, I was clearing out my Google Drive, and I don't remember putting that on my Google Drive. But it was like from heaven sent, out of nowhere. Wow. It's just sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm like, okay, well, I can't lose this time. So I've saved it. And I was like, let me just throw it up there just for fun, just to see if anyone watches this, because that's one of our coolest. That was early on our show.
That was a shining, crowning moment of achievement in a long broadcasting career for me. I mean, it couldn't have been any more of an honor. It really was. I mean, it's like finding out that Pat Riley listens to your show.
Which he does.
But, I mean, under the circumstances of it, and you should check this out, because I thought it was great, but I have to enhance the volume a little bit. Huh? What?
Well, the volume sucks, yeah. It was someone's phone, and that was in 2010. So it's not
was
like
I able to allow it to track on Friday? We were just having a blast, man. I don't know how many.
No, you're great. You guys were great. You guys are funny. You guys get
really so funny.
Guys are
everybody's like, mow them down.
They're screaming, and I'm like, which one? There's 12 TVs, and everyone's screaming.
We had action on all of them.
Freaking out.
There was nothing like screen-to-screen wagering. And I did. We ended up in a steakhouse there after.
Oh, nice.
Mustang, me, and Big Rich. Faraday's. It wasn't too steep. We had $100 worth of comp from the Mustangs slot play, which she won again, right? I mean,
she's on like a straight boy.
Oof. Holy moly, man! She's got a system.
Whatever.
She's got the stop and start system, the stop and go system. He really is. It's like Jerry Rice running a stop and go. What? He's taking off again? That kind of thing. Right, you finally got Rice covered. I mean, you think you got him wrapped up, putting a peel on a banana, right? You got them all sewn up. Can I get in trouble for going banana and talking? No, you can't.
I don't know. You're trying not to.
That would really be a stretch.
Right? Please, finally.
Attorneys out there. Is everybody just trying to make a buck off somebody else's mistakes? Is that what 100%. It's all about here? Is that what life is all about? I think we've come to an epiphany.
Part of it.
Everybody trying to make a buck off somebody else's mistakes. All right, glad you guys are with us here. It's the Defo Show, Hialeah Park, just a beautiful thing. And I'll make sure Frankie gets the new link. Frankie Fiore.
Yes, sir.
Do you have his number? You got to text that.
I have all the numbers. Yes, I have Frank Fiore's
number. Make sure he gets it. We want Frankie.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He'll love it, man. And, maybe we could do more stuff down there at Hialeah. That'll be a lot of fun. Because I love going down there to Hialeah Park. Now, if you were there for the Belmont Stakes, it had to be as spectacular because the Champions simulcasting room for your horse plungers is as nicely appointed a room as you will find anywhere in the United States of America. I can say that. This isn't like some just boisterous, hyperbolic claim on my behalf. It happens to be true. Now, I frequented all of them, Lubie. You've been to a few of these dungeons with me, right? Where we're out there at like Lone Star and a
Just Lone
Snowstorm.
Star. The rest of them have been fine. Lone Star was the one that I was like, okay, so we just did all that for this.
It was you, me, and Quinny Main.
It was. That was dope.
And he had also dragged his producer out there who had no interest in horse racing whatsoever and was under the auspices of, can we go soon? I want to go back to the hotel. I want to try some of that barbecue. Like, barbecue? I'm getting barbecued here, Lubie.
Exactly.
You want to see barbecue? Look at me. It's sauce on my head. But we've been all over, okay? I've been to bars in Arizona when simulcasting first came out. That was a real treat, right? I'm having a drink in a bar, and I see like a mutual window. And, and there's like a teller, and they had one screen showing like racing from Turf Paradise that you could bet on in this bar. It was
Nice.
great.
Nice.
But, wow, and I've been to them all. Vegas, you've been to Caesar's Palace. We were punching away in there. I mean, wow. I mean, how great is the place at the Mirage? That's a great sports book to watch thoroughbred racing at. And, we've been in the basement and Bally's all over the place. Atlantic City, the Borgata. I'll be back up there again for my birthday. That's going to be a lot of fun. A little freebie trip out of Palm Beach with a bunch of senior citizens, Libby. I love that little junket.
I was going to say that's your dream. Didn't you get COVID the last time you did that?
Yeah, I think so. There's some woman coughing all over the back of my neck on the bus. The freebie bus from the airport to the hotel, which you never like to get slammed right away for $30 right out of the chute, right?
No.
You haven't even made a wager yet. You're already stuck $30 paying for like an Uber driver or whatever. I don't even know. It might be more now. Although the Atlantic City airport is a dream trip. There's nobody there. You talk about nobody, man. Like one plane lands there a day, and it's from South Florida. It's fantastic. But no, I'll be heading up there for that. But I've been there, Borgata. Never seen a place like Hialeah Park. It's absolutely fantasvic. I mean, if you want to party, you can party. If you want to be alone, you can be alone. If you want to be at the bar, you're celebrating. And that whole Latin spirit kind of adds.
The vibe's great.
It adds a lot, right? I mean, be alive, people. Don't be afraid to be alive. Everybody's walking around.
It's not like that there. It's like the vibe that you can feel.
Viva Las Vegas. Go to Hialeah Park, my friends. That's the place to go. All right. And they have all kinds of stuff there. Poker. May was just in a poker tournament. I think he cashed for quite a few sticks, a substantial amount of money. He was disappointed, though. Typical gambler, right? See, there I go. I mean, there's an example of it. Wins, and he's bummed out. Come on, Mike.
It's never enough.
You can't be like that.
It's never enough. You guys are the first to bitch.
Happy people. Zippity doo dah, zippity.
That's why I'll give the Stang credit. Like the Stang enjoys her wins. Like she comes back so happy after she wins, boy.
But she feels. I mean, it's sort of a verification, a validation. If
That's
you're right about
yes.
something in gambling, and even as something as arbitrary and just completely. You talk about every spin is unique, and it's designed to drain you of your money.
Yes.
Slot machines, right?
Yes.
But there's a certain amount of human validation in the idea that you were right about something.
Yes.
And that you're a winner. You're not a loser.
Yes.
You're a winner. Everybody else is losing. You're winning. And you feel good, right? Donald Trump, winning. That's what we're doing.
But that's why Hialeah is great, though. I've never left there not feeling like I won. No matter what happened, I always feel like I won.
That is true. And I've taken, some small beatings there. No question about it. I mean, they don't tell you who to bet on. So
that's on you.
That's on you, man. El stupido. How did you leave out the 4? There's nothing like listening to a guy gripe after a series of losing bets at the horse track, is there?
Can you believe this guy?
I had this question cross my mind the other day, and excuse my French here, but at what point in a race is it okay to start screaming, "Don't fuck me! Don't fuck me now!"
I haven't heard that one.
No, and there are a lot of circumstances where you might have reason to start screaming that. And you see how we get, right?
I know. That's what
The
I'm
mow
saying.
'em down is classic. But
I'm surprised I haven't heard that one yet.
but don't fuck me. I mean, so your two horses are out there, and it looks like it's a cinch. They're going to run 1-2 in the exacta. You have it heavily either way, and it's going to pay substantially. You're looking at maybe picking up $500 to a dime, right?
Mhm.
And they're out there by like 6 lengths, and now all of a sudden here comes like the 2 out of nowhere, and he's gaining ground, and you're thinking, "Don't fuck me."
Are you thinking or do you say it? Because I feel like I can hear you people saying it loudly. And not
Feeling it, I
care.
mean, is one thing, but at some point, your emotions and what is it? Is it simply the monetary motivation? No, it can't just be that. It has to be something deeper rooted in
I
every
know, Wayne.
degenerate that from your soul, you're screaming, "Don't fuck me," because you're about to be right about something. The money is
Exactly.
a perishable commodity, as we know. I mean, go into any place now, right? Wings are like, remember when wings were like 10 cents, chicken wings?
Yes, I do. It was
Come
great.
for a 10-cent wing night.
Yeah, we used to do 20-cent wings when I was in college. It wasn't that long ago.
10 cents, man. Just take it and chuck it in the fountain outside. That's not buying a wing anymore.
No, no.
like you're lucky if a thing of 10 isn't, over $17.
Exactly.
What happened, man?
I don't know.
Can't they get
fun.
a chicken together, some hybrid chicken that sprouts new wings?
They've done that. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah, that's what killed them.
It's just not great for
What
us.
is it, a chicken shortage? That can't be right. Why is the wing more expensive than like the rest of it?
Because all these wing places became like a fad.
It's crazy because, I mean, you used to go in and you would say, it'd be like a 2-piece chicken dinner. And, me, I'm a white meat chicken guy. So I naturally want 2 chicken breasts, which the person who's taking the order is always aghast at even you could conceive of such a thing and says, well, that's going to be a substantial upcharge. It's like, upcharge your ass. I mean, it says 2 pieces. I want 2 breasts. You can interpret that in many different ways.
I got it now.
But now, I mean, it's just the opposite. They're throwing you 2 breasts and they're saying, chicken wings, a little bit of a premium, right? Well, when did you ever think that would come about, Louis? That the wing would be the most expensive part of any chicken? It's crazy.
No, there's nothing there, and I like it because of all the stuff they do to it to make it better with all the sauces and crap. But the chicken itself, it's the least amount of meat. Like of any part
we've
of the
examined the entire spectrum of the food market and many other things here in the last hour. And the first hour on South Florida Live, the Defo Show, Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz. Thanks for tuning in. Tell your friends. Put that link up so people can share it if they just found us by accident. I don't know how to get the word out about this thing, but we want to get it moving as quickly as possible. And Sean Deveney going to join us. We'll get some in-depth analysis on what's happening in this basketball series, which I've seen enough basketball and I played enough basketball to have an idea about what's going on in a game, even the modern version. But I don't know that anybody has any great feel putting their finger on the pulse of what's going on in this series and what's going to happen tonight. Did the Celtics just crumble? That seems to be the impression a lot of people have, that that was it. They took their best shot and they let them off the hook. The old Denny Green thing. No?
I was going to say, you sound like Green.
Yeah.
We knew who they were. The Bears. We knew.
Well, it's kind of like that Rangers series against Tampa Bay. I mean, they had a chance to bury him. And, unfortunately, left the slightest glimmer of light there for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay being a championship caliber team, having won the Cup twice in a row and breezed by your Florida Panthers. Once they had the opportunity, they were able to take the greatest advantage of it and go on and win the series. Unbelievable. All right, coming back with more. Sean Deveney, and he's with Heavy.com, a longtime NBA writer, many different distinctive stops on his journalistic tour, and we'll come back with Sean in just a moment. Now that.
The time, 8:03.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
The local scene, the Heat, of course, making changes. I read a very encouraging article about the Heat's prospects. Not to win the championship so much, but to at least be a very, very big factor in the Eastern Conference, Mike Lubie Lubitz. You'll be happy to note that somebody actually agreed with your opinion.
A lot of people said that. They have an interesting team, and like you said, they're the toughest team in the NBA. You wouldn't want to meet this team down an alley.
No, I mean, this a team that's going to treat everybody the way Tyson treated Mitch Blood Green if they meet in an alley.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubie Lubitz. Very happy to have you with us here as we venture out on our own. The Lost Planet, Lubie.
You have to say it like that.
Yeah.
It's not depressing.
No, I'm happy about it.
It's
I
on
mean,
purpose.
it's great. I'm very happy this man is going to distinguish us with his presence
First
here.
guess. Yeah.
Because we were pretty much irrelevant when it came to our opinion about the Celtics Golden State series so far, other than to say it was extremely deflating getting back to that clip that we opened a segment with for the Miami Heat to lose that Game 7 at home to the Boston Celtics, making you think, wow, every time that you're giving a standing 8 count to the Celtics, they have found a way to rebound and respond and come up with what would then seem like a somewhat improbable victory. Now, they've done it 7 times now coming out of a defeat in the postseason. Can they do it again and maintain that streak in San Francisco tonight? Sean Deveney, Heavy.com, and longtime NBA basketball analyst and writer, joins us here on the show, and it's always a pleasure to have him on. Sean, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, people. How are you?
Mystified a little bit. Is the series still ongoing? We were speculating, have they suspended play in the NBA for some reason in order to raise money for Ukrainian refugees or something? I mean, what's going on with the series? When's the next game?
It's a good question. You know, you would think that they would aim for a Sunday night matchup. Those usually do pretty well.
Yeah.
But they decided, let's forego the Sunday and let's get the vaunted Monday night matchup, which is what we've got. So they'll take the floor finally again tonight.
Yeah, it seemed like they had the stage to themselves. Of course, the hockey playoffs don't begin again until a week from next leap year. And you know, and you had a Sunday night. I was all lined up because I had seen a promo earlier in the day, and I neglected to notice that the date was going to be today instead of yesterday. And I was looking forward to watching the game last night. And then I ended up continuing my binge watching of Deadliest Catch. Instead, they catch a lot of crab on those boats, but man, the conditions are horrendous to work under. All right. So what's going on, Sean Deveney of Heavy.com, in this series so far? We were saying, the Celtics have been very much Jekyll and Hyde throughout the postseason. Just when you're counting them out, that they find a way to, get back on track, and then they'll come back in the very next game and throw in a stinker, at least for a period of time. What do you see so far in the series? And can the Celtics follow up on the notion that after 4 games of averaging 60 points a game, they decided they're going to try a new kind of defense on Steph Curry?
Yeah, they've been pretty consistent in how they've handled Steph Curry, and it hasn't worked. He's having just a fantastic year. I mean, he's really been the guy who's been the difference maker, averaging 34 points. He's shooting 50% from the field, 49% from the three-point line. It would seem that some changes are in order. The Celtics really don't want to make those changes because it does affect other parts of their defense, and they're not sure that they really want to go that way, because look, they did win 2 of the games, and that's the thing. If you're Minnesota, that's how you're looking at it. Is we're going to have to take away something. So if we are forcing Steph to take 30-foot shots, which they're capable of making, as we've seen, then that's sort of what the Celtics have picked to live with. Not sure that with a few days off here and going through some film, maybe they can at least make some adjustments so they don't have that big guy when they do the switch. The big guy drops back and he's got all this room, and that's been the real issue for them. And then on the flip side, look, it's Jason Tatum. I mean, he has not played well in this series. So I think if you start with the 2 best players in this series, one of them is playing like it, one of them is.
Sean, what's interesting is Steph Curry now is clearly the straw that stirs the drink. We get that. He's been their best player. Even with Durant there was always a question, as good as Durant is Steph Curry the one, that's the driving force? But it always felt like Draymond Green was really the captain of the ship. Like, Draymond Green was a guy that was in MVP conversation for years. He was a guy that did it all, and it wasn't just scoring 6 points. He would do it all and get you 15 to 20 to 25. Like, I understand he's volatile, and I understand it's a very thin line between getting good Draymond and Draymond that's getting kicked out of games. But 2 points isn't going to cut it. Like, the dude, I get he's not the scorer maybe he once was, but we've seen him throw 17, 20, 15. Like, it feels the last couple of games, and they won game 4, but it felt like he wasn't involved. It felt like he was sort of, he's letting this game he has with the refs and with the Celtics sort of actually, instead of embolden him, it feels like it's held him back.
Yeah, and that's definitely a concern, and that goes back to what we're saying about the Celtics defense. Is they do want to make it tough on the other guys, including a Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, who's been up and down a little bit, and Andrew Wiggins has been fine, but certainly not great. Jordan Poole hasn't done all that much, one game, but yeah, Draymond is certainly a guy that they were better on the floor when he wasn't there. In game 4, there's no question that he was taken away from them. He's now 0 for 9 in the series from the 3-point line. He's got to be able to knock down 1, 2, 3-point. He's got to be able to at least make you think about him on the perimeter. And obviously, 0 for 9, they're not doing that. They don't have to worry about him. That's really been consistent here throughout these finals. He's given them nothing. 17 points in 4 games. That's not going to do it. He doesn't have, like I said, he doesn't have to score 15 anymore. If he can get 8, 10, 12, that's where they need him to be. They need him to at least be some sort of offensive threat. And he's really brought nothing on that end. So everything that he does for you defensively and the attitude and all that stuff, that's great. But if he's going to be a non-factor on the offensive end, especially if you've got Looney out there as well, then that's going to be that's tough for them offensively in what they're trying to do.
Long time and astute basketball writer and analyst Sean Deveney, Heavy.com, with us here on the Defo Show, and happy to be with you on South Florida Live. It is interesting from many different aspects what's gone on in the series, but I would have to say the assortment and array of bricks between Klay Thompson in games 1 and 2 and Jason Tatum now at various times throughout. I mean, this has been a new definition of the word brick that we're seeing from 2 guys that are normally pretty reliable shooters. And that's the weird part about it. It's not like they're missing, and the balls are going in and out and they're having some tough luck. I mean, these are boulders they're throwing up there, which, you're wondering. I mean, a lot of this stuff was working for Tatum throughout the playoffs, and it may come about that he gets it back again. It seems like all of a sudden Klay Thompson has at least for the most part, relocated his stroke. All right. In contrast to the gentleman that was portrayed in Winning Time, the portrayal of Pat Riley, we saw a very distinguished Pat Riley giving his State of the Heat address. I don't know if you caught that, Sean Deveney, but
I did.
the level of devastation
How he
that
said,
he
"I did."
suffered was indicative of the character portrayal and the image that they portrayed in Winning Time. When he said he was devastated, flattened, he couldn't even speak for the next few days after losing to the Celtics, and that was another one of those improbable Celtic postseason victories that we've seen so far, as they have really battled their way into a position where it's not as pretty as Golden State is at times, but they have shown this kind of grit. But what did you make of that Game 7? Because everybody had concluded after the Heat performed so well in Game 6 in Boston that Miami was going to go on and win that series and challenge for the championship this year.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the way that Jimmy Butler had sort of that LeBron James 2012 moment, and for them to come back and the Celtics to play the way they did, and he came close to even within the game set, came close to coughing that up, which is this is a team that loves to shoot itself in the foot. It's very good at that. But it's also a team that does have a certain amount of resilience. I wouldn't be surprised if they go in and win Game 5 in San Francisco. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State comes back to Boston and wins there, and we get a Game 7 that way. That would not surprise me at all. It's been typical of the Celtics. But yeah, that was really the Celtics season in a nutshell, because they did play well. They had everything together. And then they had, what was a 3-minute span in which everything just sort of, or even less than that, 2-minute span, which everything just sort of unraveled, and they couldn't, they couldn't shoot straight, and that's been typical of their year, where they have a certain level of talent, but they also have a tremendous capacity to make mistakes, and we've seen that in the series in the finals. That it's very often, Jason Tatum was 6 turnovers there in that Game 4. It's very often the turnovers that the self-inflicted wounds that are the reason that the Celtics lose during this postseason.
Well, Sean and Defo brought up Pat Riley, and I talked with you about this a couple of weeks ago, but it's funny. We've heard not only rumors persist about, Donovan Mitchell, Bradley Beal, some other, Zach LaVine. For some reason, everyone wants Zach LaVine, which is, the guy's become an all-star, but I just find that an interesting name. A guy who loves to make sure, it's funny, as much as in his early years, he didn't want people to talk about him. He made sure if you're not talking about him, he's going to say something on one of his various media entities. So now you do talk about him. Mr. LeBron James on The Shop, which is where, before he did everything else, that's where he started doing things. Of course, he and his buddy Rich Paul, instead of all the other famous people, just them in The Shop talking. And he throws out there, I guess it was the Final Four was still going on in the NBA when they recorded this. And Paul's like, if you could see yourself playing for any team, who would you play for? And he was like, well, I could see myself really helping the Heat and the Warriors because of, what they have already. I think it'll be something special. So obviously, everyone in Miami is now running with this quote. When you hear stuff like that from LeBron, what do you do with it? And what are the chances that he does end up with an actual winner at this point of his career, the way he sort of has made everything about him?
Yeah, it's funny when he says something, it is always calculated. I mean, he's had every word of his watched for the last 19 years, maybe even longer. He's a junior in high school, so 20 years we're talking about of having every word you say monitored. At this point, he knows when he says something, the impact that it's going to have and the reaction it's going to get. And so when he says something, it's a message. It's a message, and I don't think it was a message to the Heat or the Warriors. It was a message to the Lakers. That hey, I might not stick around. That thing deteriorated to the point where I might not stick around if you guys don't get this together. Which is a strange thing. I do think that's the message. You could also step back and say, well, you're the one who wanted to trade for Russell Westbrook, so whose fault is this anyway?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when he does something like that, it's calculated. And I think the message there was for the Lakers more so than for the Heat or for the Warriors.
Would you say the Lakers made the right move with their coaching hire? It was interesting at the press conference that LeBron introduced him as their new head coach, and Pelinka was nowhere to be seen. In fact, Rob Lowe was in the crowd, and they mistook him for Pelinka. But yeah, I mean, so what did you make of this? I mean, a longtime assistant under Budenholzer, who just a couple of years ago everybody thought was a bozo.
Yeah, it is interesting the way that shifts, and a guy who's never been a head coach before. It's a gamble to me, to not get somebody who's got a little bit of a background in terms of being in the head chair and making those kinds of decisions and keeping the locker room tight and all that sort of stuff. And by all accounts, Darvin Ham's a very good coach, and it should have a good coaching career ahead of him. It's just, is this the job that he should really be starting out with? That's the big question. It was interesting, though, that there was all this talk about Doc Rivers, and I know that a lot of those veteran players, including LeBron, were really hoping that maybe something would happen with Doc Rivers. When it was clear that it wasn't, that's when you saw Darvin Ham come up as being number one. But there's no question that they were interested in having somebody like Doc Rivers there, and only made that choice after it was clear that wasn't going to happen. But it's also interesting that they were very concerned about putting together a united front. So once it was Darvin Ham, it was going to be everybody behind him. If you remember when they hired Frank Vogel, they really messed up that whole scenario. If you think back, they had Ty Lue, and they were going to bring him in. And the contract negotiation got screwed up, and Ty Lue winds up going to the Clippers. They were going to get Monty Williams. He looked at the situation, looked at the Phoenix Suns, and said, "I'll go there." But he winds up at the Phoenix. Frank Vogel was their third choice. So they were very concerned about being, sort of presenting a united front in this Darvin Ham thing. And it was kind of funny watching the press conference, seeing that everybody was almost a little too enthusiastic, for a guy who's still a first-time untested coach.
I could see Doc Rivers being well liked by players, maybe even players wanting to party with Doc Rivers and him becoming one of the guys. But speaking of bozo, I mean, after those bozoic moves that he made in the postseason, which I think directly attributable, to that loss to the Miami Heat in the playoff second round, was this whole thing with Embiid, which just reeks of a coaching mistake, which somehow Rivers got off the hook on that. But I don't know. I mean, why would this guy be so desirable? You would think Mark Jackson had a better chance of getting a job at this point than Doc Rivers.
Yeah, the players really like Doc Rivers. He's very good at
he's like Kevin Lockery
players
back in the day.
And people around the league like him, so he has this reputation, and he won a championship 35 years ago, so he's still moving that as well. So, but no, he's very well liked. I mean, that's the thing, and he's very good at setting up a coaching staff and having things run and getting things organized. He's very good at that and getting people to buy in. But you're right, when it gets into the in-game decisions, really, if you go back to his time with the Clippers, he's had a very bad record with that.
Yeah.
He's made some monumental mistakes. Of course, blowing the 3-1 lead when lose with the Clippers. He's made some monumental mistakes in terms of his X's and O's and his in-game decisions on the biggest stages.
Yeah, but he's very likable. The press likes him. They kind of just let him off the hook there when we got to the beginning of that Heat 76ers series. You were thinking, they're going to crush this guy with questions about the Embiid injury and what the hell he was doing on the court. And, unless he had held up a picture of Gino Auriemma, you would have to think that the man was crazy for having his star player out there under those circumstances, up 29. But, somehow he was like a major candidate, as was I think every name was mentioned except for David Blatt as a potential coach of the Lakers. And this new guy immediately came in and embraced Westbrook as being one of the great players in the NBA and saying, hey, it's up to us to make it possible for these guys to blend together. A bigger problem, obviously, for them is Anthony Davis playing like half a season now, it seems like every year. And he would be the most important element there, maybe even more so, hard to say it, than LeBron James, who continues to amaze. I wouldn't mind, as Lubie suggested, if LeBron James ended up on Golden State and won a title, if they could keep whatever they have, the semblance of that core together again next year, would you really begrudge them that, or how do you think that would be viewed by the fans? Because it's not evenly divided. I would imagine LeBron James has more people that actually like him as an NBA star than don't.
Yeah, I think it would probably be pretty split. It'd certainly give folks on the talk shows plenty to discuss, I'm sure. But I think it would probably be overwhelmingly negative, though, just because it will be his fourth team, and clearly championship hunting. This is one of the things about this finals that I think a lot of people have liked is that both of these aren't super teams. These are teams that were sort of built within through the draft, and guys that really grew up with those teams, and it kind of looks like the approach of the super teams, so the Nets and teams like that, didn't, and of course the Lakers didn't have much of a chance in this postseason against these teams that were just really well run and well built. And so if you turn from that and go right to the Warriors bringing in LeBron James, I don't know. I don't think that would be received very well.
Well, Sean, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being with us here on the show. Do you have an opinion as to who comes out on top in tonight's game and or the series, or both?
Yeah, I do think that I think the Celtics go there and win tonight. I really do.
Nice.
And then I said it jokingly, but I really do think that Golden State comes back to Boston and wins, and then the Warriors in 7. Finally the Celtics lose 2 games in a row. I think it'll be Game 6 and Game 7.
Okay. I think you get a pretty nice price on that. And there's actually a proposition bet that I was inclined to notice in the paper today on my New York Post Degenerate page that had Celtics winning Game 5 and then Golden State coming back and winning the series in 7. And I think you get like 5-1 on something like that.
Oh, wow.
So, if you got a couple of sticks, you might want to throw it. You might want to throw it into the fire. We can book that action for you if you like, Sean. And I'll give you my number.
I'll handle it myself. Thank you.
You can sell me the money. Just sell me the cash. All right, thanks, Sean. Always a pleasure, my friend. We'll catch Sean Deveney, heavy.com. You can find all of his NBA analysis. It's always great. And thanks so much for being a part of the show today with Sean Deveney. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks a lot. Pretty astute observer of basketball, this cat, no? All right. All right, Brett Tessler, the agent to the Stars. A little summertime schedule working. Brett Tessler, the agent to the Stars, going to join us here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. South Florida Live, a whole new thing working here as we venture off into the universe of being on our own, Lubie.
It's a good thing. Don't say it like that. It's on purpose.
Your wife's watching.
The wife chimed in. We got the whole thing working. It's a whole new world, and hopefully all of South Florida and beyond embraces us.
My wife just walked by and looked in mystery, saying, what the hell are you doing? No, she let the dog in. Holly always likes to be a part of the show and the listening audience here. All right, we're coming back. Brett Tessler, the agent to the Stars. NFL, their mandatory mini camps. Isn't that part of this week's activity? Mike Lubie Lubitz in the National Football League.
Feels like it.
We'll get into that and what exactly that means. And, it's kind of right around the corner here, isn't it? 2 months away, I guess, from everybody getting locked into training camp preseason NFL speculation. I still am mystified. I know, it probably was justified, but the low depth of Tua Tagovailoa on the list of quarterbacks in the AFC. Is he really no better than the 13th best quarterback in the AFC?
You know how I feel about that.
Have people gone on to Lamar Jackson? Is he going to be this big star still in the league?
They treated him like
with Deshaun Watson as he moves to Cleveland, if he even gets to play. I think
they keep having more women. Yeah, it's not a joke.
Yesterday. Yeah.
In the last week, I think 2 to 4 have. That's for sure. I don't know if it's up to 10, but yeah, I mean, they keep coming out of the woodwork.
A bit of a strange MO. I mean, not to condemn the guy here in the press. I don't know what happened. Obviously, and apparently they're conflicting some of these cases. Says, the women are perfectly credible, and now she was shot down. This Rusty Harden, he can spin things like, who's that guy, Jones, That's the radical right winger who denied like Sandy Hook.
Oh,
Even took
Alex
place.
Jones. Alex
Yeah.
Jones.
My God, they had a thing on him last night after this Watergate.
He's a
thing.
criminal.
Strange cat, man. There's no doubt about it. But unfortunately, and this is a sad thing about the state of America today, is that huge following.
Yes.
Huge.
Big. Yep.
You got 30 viewers, and this guy's got like 30 million.
Yeah. Honestly.
Right? Alan Burke did that a long time ago, although he wasn't, inclined to, incite hatred and division. But, when he had those shows and he would sit down with a woman, I don't know if you remember this guy. It was sort of legendary for me because I was a big fan of his growing up as a kid. He had a late night TV show in New York when this was just becoming in vogue, right? They used to play the national anthem at midnight and the station would sign off. Then they started having these late night shows, but they were a little strange, right? Like Tom Snyder was a very interesting interviewer in that situation. And you had others. Dick Cavett had like one of these shows. And Alan Burke was a guy in New York on one of the local channels, and he would interview the strangest people. It was great. And he would sit down with a woman who looked like, just a regular, housewife in her late 50s, 60s, and go, "So you say you're from Mars?"
It reminds me of Coast to Coast. Did you ever check Coast to Coast? Coast to Coast was great. Like the overnight show on the radio. Yeah. That was fun. They did some interesting things on that show.
Yeah, so I got to follow Alan Burke. He was doing a talk show on WINZ when I first got a job here. And they told me on my first day, "Oh, by the way, you're hosting a sports talk show tonight," which was like, really? That wasn't even part of the job description. So what am I? I'm going to turn it down? Of course not. I love sports talk. And but who was in the studio before me clearing out his stuff? The great Alan Burke, the late.
Oh, he was there in person. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he had a radio show going, and he had come down from New York like years before, and but he was brilliant. I mean, the guy was a big star. I believe WOR in New York City. So that was all part of this great ride that we've had, and good to be with you here on. Here we are with a new venture, South Florida Live. Right, all started from very humble beginnings here. And we will be with you till 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars on the NFL coming up. Mandatory mini camps, right? Holdouts, it's always a big story. Hey, where's Joe? Is he going to show up? No? What do you think it is? Money? All right, we'll talk with Brett in just a moment here on the Defo Show. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great place to chill out. Mile marker 104, Key Largo. Tommy Fox, we're looking for you, and we got to figure out what's going on with John Conjemi's missing in action. What are we going to do? We're going to figure that out, but
yes,
it doesn't change our opinion about Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's a great place to go, and mile marker 104 in the Keys. I think it's going to be hot over the weekend. You might want to start making your plans now, and I also believe that maybe some of this rain
clear out,
evaporating in a dust storm or whatever it is that's taking place in the Atlantic Ocean right now. There's always something going on there. But unfortunately, no hurricane activity, so that won't wash out any of your plans for the weekend in all likelihood. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Check on accommodations at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. Check the menu out. It is absolutely dynamite. You're going to love everything on it. And that goes a wide range and variety of things from these specialty pizzas they make, including the Italian fisherman, all the way down to conventional pies there. The nachos are just absolutely amazing with the pork and all of this stuff. I mean, appealing to the professor, a restaurateur, a very discriminating taste. And then if you're looking for like fresh mahi-mahi, I mean, this isn't something that they got off the shelf at a taxidermist. No. Talking about right out of the freaking ocean, man. It is great. So you're going to love it. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. We love that place, and looking forward to getting down there again. Mike Lubie, it's Jeff DeForest, Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars, a little National Football League on this Monday. Coming up on the Defo Show in a moment. Now that.
Time!
It's 8:33.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
The simple pleasures of this job, the way a stadium sounds when one of my players performs well on the field, the way we are meant to protect them in health and in injury. Less, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves in the games too.
The agent to the stars, the one and only Brett Tessler.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz with you till 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. And this gentleman no longer with us on the East Coast, but gracious enough to get up and join us here on this Monday while he's at his fine digs, becoming a woodsman out there in Wisconsin. We welcome the very sophisticated and well-rounded agent to the stars, Brett Tessler, to the program. Brett, is that wood I hear being chopped in the background? I love the fact that you have the wife, the lovely Lonnie, chopping the wood while you're trying to find a match to light the fire. How are you, my friend?
Everything's great, Steve. Good to be back up north here. Nice 50-something degree night last night. Nice to get away from the heat and humidity of down south. But as it turns out, I think it's supposed to be about 97 here tomorrow.
Whoa.
So, looks like seems like no matter where I go, the hot weather follows.
Well, you're hot. You're on fire as a sports agent as well with all of your players in the National Football League. Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars, with us here on South Florida Live. All right. This struck me. I thought of you the other day. I happened to tune in for a few minutes to a USFL game. And I was watching like the New Jersey Generals. I forget who they were playing. It really seemed odd to me. I mean, is there any talk about the fact that there are literally, I know it's kind of made for TV, this stuff, and that's what they're depending on for maybe any longevity or future success, but it literally looked like there were 8 people in the stands. I mean, is anybody talking about that? How little interest there is in attending any of these games live, and to get off to this slow of a start. I mean, I would imagine they're even papering the house, and there's like nobody there. You would have thought a lightning strike had occurred. Any conversation about that, the lack of fan interest in the USFL?
Well, obviously, any sporting event is more compelling and energetic with people in the stands. But as far as the sustainability of that league, their model is the exact opposite of the NFL from the standpoint that in the NFL, TV dollars are the main thing. But I mean, it's actually, I didn't mean to say opposite. It's actually similar because both of them make their money off of the TV deals.
Right.
I mean, the reality is the NFL would be able to sustain itself if it didn't have one person in the stand. Now, obviously, more people in the stands equal more parking, equal more concessions, which, who doesn't like paying $100 for a bottle of water?
Exactly.
Nothing like it.
The reality is, the reality is, for the NFL, the fans in the stands are sort of icing on the cake. In a league like the USFL, their expenses are obviously far, far lower than the NFL in terms of what their players and other people around the league are getting paid. They have a decent TV deal, as will the XFL. And so for those leagues, in order to sustain, people need to watch it on TV. If people are betting on it, obviously that puts more eyes on it. And then who knows, maybe in time people will start showing up. Although when you have every city's team playing in one city, obviously the people there aren't going to continue to go to game after game after game after game to watch teams that are representing the other cities in the league, yet again are still just playing in that one city. So I think it's understandable why it would be this way. I don't think the league expected more. I didn't expect more. I'm sure for the players out there playing, it's probably pretty weird to make a play and just hear crickets. But, you know, the purpose of that league for those players is to try to take the step back up to the NFL. And so for that reason, I think leagues like this and the XFL are very, very important and very valuable. And I think the NFL thinks so too. You know, they sort of need a minor league, if you will. Let's just see if one or both of these things can survive longer than a year, unlike the last, you know, how many leagues that popped up that tended to fall by the wayside relatively quickly.
All right, Brett. So I know I'm becoming a broken record because every week I'm asking about, you know, the Dolphins' approach now compared to the last regime, and Tua getting a pat on the back now compared to what he was getting before. But each and every week, Tyreek Hill says something new. So he gives me fodder to ask you and anyone associated with the NFL, because I find it interesting. Look, we know what Patrick Mahomes is. Whether he's gotten a little bit more guff the last couple of years, he's still 1, 2, or 3 when it comes to ratings as a quarterback in the NFL. We know Tua's even the biggest Tua fans like me don't put Tua in that same breath. However, Tyreek Hill keeps doing it. And I get it. It's his quarterback, and I get it. I don't think he has beef with Mahomes, and he's trying to just uplift his quarterback, but he's pretty incessant. Like recently, like this weekend, he came out saying, look, Patrick was great, but there are things Tua does better, especially accuracy. I mean, no one thinks of Mahomes as an inaccurate quarterback. Like, when you continually hear Tyreek Hill say these things, what is your reaction to it? You're losing?
Doesn't sound like I had any reaction to that. Your obsession with Tua Tagovailoa.
Hold on.
I think you lost him about midway through that question about Tua. Like, you know, and look, it's interesting that this came up. I don't know that people are ready to make parallels. I know Tyreek Hill was to Patrick Mahomes. We have not seen any. If you're watching Patrick Mahomes on a buffoon play that he makes occasionally, then you might have a reason to make a comparison to Tua Tagovailoa and how they look. But you know, in terms of accomplishment, look, it's a long way away. So I'm not sure the comparison is fair. All right, I think we relocated.
Yeah, so what I was
Brett
asking
Tessler,
you, Tess,
the
man,
agent of the
is
Stars.
I know I keep bringing up Tua
At what point in that question, Brett, did you hang up? You know, realizing that, you know, Lubie was about to do a dissertation about the history of quarterbacking in the NFL.
As soon as he started asking the question, it just became marble. So I hear you guys well now. What was the question?
Okay, well, Tyreek Hill continuously keeps comparing Tua to Mahomes. I guess they're trying to uplift Tua. When you hear him do such things, what is your reaction?
You know the old expression, me thinks someone protests too much, or however the hell it goes. Yeah, whatever it is. I don't speak Old English. I can barely speak current English. So however the old expression goes, it seems like an awful lot of over-the-top, effusive praise. But again, it's better to hear that, I suppose, than word getting out that he has a terrible arm or he's missing everybody in the OTAs and mini camps up to this point. So the reality is it's all just talk, and the truth is going to come to light here in the next, few months once we get into camp, and then ultimately the preseason, and then, you know, certainly the regular season. So it's fun for everybody to read about it and talk about it and hear about it. But the reality is everybody knows this is the crossroads of Tua's career here this season. This is the season where either he is going to step up and, you know, establish himself as a legitimate long-term starting quarterback to this franchise, or where they'll be looking in a different direction, either through the draft or free agency. And, you know, based on the way most of the last 30 years or roughly so have gone for the Dolphins. I would say probably more like, 20, 25 years, ever it's been since Marino retired. Everybody knows what it's been like, and everybody's seen what it's been like for other organizations like the Browns. And, pretty much any team who hasn't been able to find that long-term guy to carry you for the next 12 years, 15 years or so, let's hope that's not going to be the case for the Dolphins fans. Let's hope that Tua is what some people are talking about that he is. And let's hope that with the benefit of a great running game, improved protection, obviously a world-class receiving core, let's hope that he can step up and do what he needs to do, where this team can start winning games because of him.
Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars, with us here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest and the too-obsessed Mike Lubie. It's interesting. I haven't done a lot of sports talk. Of course, back in the day, Brett, the debate was who's the better quarterback, Marino or Montana? And then with the Dolphins over the last 20 years since Marino's retirement, it's who is the better quarterback, Jay Fiedler or Ryan Tannehill, which doesn't leave you a lot, to choose from there on the buffet. Is that it? No more crab legs? Are they bringing more out? That kind of thing. I wanted to get back before Lubie got into this thing. Just one thing on the USFL, which struck me because you, my friend, have made a career and built a legacy out of finding that Horatio Alger story. I mean, just dusting off a prospect who was being overlooked by either drafting teams or teams that actually had the guy in camp and on practice squads, and they had to bounce around a little bit. And you would encourage him to keep going. And you mentioned that the USFL and XFL could serve a great purpose as a minor league and give these players a chance to kind of stay in the game when otherwise they just be on ice. Or literally on ice in the CFL. But have you seen? I mean, are you scouting this pool of talent yourself, maybe to find that so-called diamond in the rough, or are all these players already under some form of representation that are playing in the USFL?
Well, the majority of the players in that league are guys who have already had a taste of the NFL.
Okay.
Meaning guys who are either in training camp or on practice squads, and in some cases even guys who've been on rosters. It just depends what direction a guy's career is moving. If a guy's in the XFL because their career is on the downward plane, meaning if it's a guy who has had more than a fair amount of NFL looks and for whatever reason just hasn't been able to cut it, or maybe just isn't good enough, which, look, there's no shame in that. A lot of people in this world aren't. And so if it's a guy, though, whose career is on the upward trajectory, maybe a guy who, for whatever reason, didn't play in the correct defensive scheme in college, maybe a guy who didn't get the fairest opportunity in the NFL, or maybe a guy where the light just hasn't gone on, either mentally or professionally. You take a guy like Cameron Wake. I think it was the Browns that maybe he was in, or maybe the Giants I think he was in camp with. And then he ended up going over to Canada and started becoming the player that we all knew that he became down in South Florida. It just, for whatever reason, he just needed that light to go on, and it happened, and he became one of the best pass rushers of that generation. You've seen the case with guys like, there's been so many guys throughout the years. James Harris.
A lot of quarterbacks. Yeah.
With the Browns. Sam Mills was in camp with the Browns, and got cut. So it happens where these guys need a chance to go to. In fact, Sam Mills, he went to the USFL in 1983 or 84, 85, whatever it was back then. And then, of course, came back to become the great player that he was for the Saints and the Panthers. So, there have been examples, and there will continue to be. And that's why it is so important that these leagues thrive and remain solvent on more than just a year-to-year basis.
No, it's funny too. We talk about the persona that you have to, have to be a tough NFL player, especially if you're playing on the offensive or defensive line. You ever run into Dwight Stevenson? I ran into him the other night at a birthday party for the lovely Fudge Brown, Brett Tessler, and it's hard to imagine this guy was ever knocking the snot out of people for a living. I mean, it is strange like that. But sometimes when you run into players and you see like the toughest of guys are just like the most gentle of human beings in the aftermath of their playing career.
It's so funny that you bring up Dwight Stevenson because on Friday I was supposed to play in his golf tournament with one of my players from the Vikings who lives in Boca. But unfortunately, when my guy left the OTAs that afternoon, the flight to Florida got canceled and he wasn't coming into the next morning. So instead, we just decided to hit the road to head up north a little bit sooner, a few hours sooner than we would have otherwise. But, it really is amazing when you think of what an all-time great Dwight Stevenson is.
Yeah.
He really is the example of a guy who's unfortunately, with the injury he had and, medical technology 40 years ago not being what it is today, it's truly tragic that that guy's career was not able to continue because just, on those Dolphins teams, obviously you had Dan Marino, and that was the focal point. And there were so many other weapons that everybody talked about that really for the handful of years that he did play, not only was he the best center in the league, he was probably one of the best centers of all time. And back then is when it was much more of an athletic, technical way to play offensive line than it probably is today with guys all weighing 305, 310, 330 pounds, whatever it is. Back then, these guys were all lighter, way quicker. I mean, Dwight Stevenson, I don't know exactly what he weighed when he played, but I can assure you it was well under 300 pounds. And that guy was just incredibly quick, incredibly athletic, incredibly technical. I mean, hand usage, footwork. That guy probably had the athleticism of a high-level linebacker. And, truly a great guy. And hopefully next year we'll be able to play in that golf tournament that I hoped we could have played on Friday.
I don't know if he weighs in at a deuce anymore. I think he,
I know,
is
he's
under the
svelte.
cruiserweight limit, man. He's, extremely trim and has been for a while. So always good to see when these athletes that had to carry around a lot of weight, find a way to a healthier lifestyle, if you will, so that they can have some longevity. Michael D. Weil, speaking of longevity, man, nobody gets out of this thing alive. Brett Tessler, we know that. I'm refusing to embrace that, though, but I'm starting to quiver a little bit there as I zero in on 71. So, as you've told me many times, if you don't have your affairs in order by now, you better get them in order. And Michael D. Weil is the man to do that. All kinds of estate planning, too.
It's true. And so regardless whether you're somebody where you think the end might be getting near, or in the case of Defo, someone who's still got miles of tread left on his tires, you still need to get this. You still need to. And anybody who knows Defo knows he's the eternal 18-year-old, and guy's 71, going on like maybe 19 or something. So, but again, to prove the point, no matter who you are, no matter how youthful you are, no matter how young you are, how healthy you are, you never know what life has in store. And that's why you've got to get your estate plans taken care of. It just gives you and your family total peace of mind that whatever happens, the people that you care about the most are going to be taken care of. And that's why you reach out to Michael Wild at southfloridawills.com. Easily the best estate planning attorney down in South Florida. Reach out to Michael Wild, southfloridawills.com.
Did I remember from Facebook, you guys got like a pontoon boat parked outside this lakeside mansion that you have in Wisconsin? Is that true?
No pontoon boat. I'm not a boater. I love being on boats, but usually boats that somebody else. Usually boats that somebody else.
Other people's boats. So,
exactly.
We have other people's boats, exactly. So we definitely enjoy as a good pontoon boat when one of our friends has one. But no, one thing you will never see me own is a boat. I'm definitely afraid of them. If we're in the middle of the ocean with another boat more than 100 miles away and someone says take the wheel for 2 seconds, I won't do it. So basically, it's something, again, I enjoy being on them, but I will never own one. I will never operate one.
Yeah. I mean, Michael D. Weil would know this. You're also liable if some schmuck like Lubie starts flying 100 miles an hour on a wave runner down the wrong side of the intercoastal as boats are entering the canal there.
I've that a few times.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not only liable for his, life, but the damage that he caused to like a major expensive, and very extensive piece of real estate there in South Florida. So, yeah, stay away from ownership. It's a certain road and path to disaster. Brett, always a pleasure, my friend. Have fun up there. We're very envious of the 50-degree nights, not so much
Yes,
of the
sir.
97-degree days. And we'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Thanks for being with us.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Desmond.
All right, Brett Tessler, agent of the Stars. We never got into a mandatory mini camp, Lubie.
Yeah, I was actually going to, and then you went into like 3 different directions. So I was like, all right. I'm
I
sure
was
plenty of time to
curious
talk
about
it.
the USFL because I'm a big fan of the idea that some guy gets discovered doing this.
Yes.
That's my angle. I mean, a lot of
I
people
agree.
like to condemn it. I mean, I didn't mean to get into the whole shitty fan response. It amazes me to see a professional sporting event. When you were calling that rinky-dink hybrid professional
Stars Football League. Stars Football League.
there were more people in the stands. Now, maybe it was
Yes, there
because it
was.
was a smaller stadium.
Yeah.
But I think overall there might have been more people in the stands for that. And this was like football dreck compared to
Oh, yeah.
It was one step above like some kind of recreational league.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yes. Like when I watched USFL, I've heard of most of the players. Like I at least heard of them. Stars.
They have some kind of history. College or something. Right. Stars, you were lucky if you had a guy that played at Nassau Community College.
Pretty much.
On Long Island, yeah. Well, here he is. He was a big star in Nassau. Did they even have a football team in they have JC football, elsewhere? That was big in California, man. JC football was huge.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming back with more. We'll wrap things up this Monday, flying by here on South Florida Live. Glad you're with us. Spread the word, and we'll spread this link. We have it up on Facebook. I don't know if it does any good to put it up on the screen here, Lubie, but because the people that are watching have it.
Well, you might be on Facebook because right now you can watch us on the South Florida Live Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
You can also watch us on YouTube. So if you are on the South Florida Live site, we have a Twitter at SoFly Live. We have an Instagram at SoFly Live. Yeah. And we have a Facebook page, South Florida Live.
Now, do you still Google the Defo Show, or is that over?
You can Google the Defo Show with Lubie, so to try and differentiate a little bit so they can find us. Right. And over time, that will be the easiest way to find us. But right now, Facebook, we're there, and also on our YouTube channel, South Florida Live. We're live there each and every day.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, hopefully this will work. All right, we'll come back and wrap it up in a moment. Now that. Is it working? It's 8:56. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, even though I don't have a horse in a race, as I did in the Belmont Stakes, we had 3 of them, but one of them actually won, Mo Donegal. Ended up winning the Belmont. Skippy Longstocking got in the try and actually made for a pretty decent payoff considering.
That's funny.
We the People, everybody was dead wrong about. I didn't care for that particular pick, but I didn't want to insult anybody that was giving it out on a show. Kate Bradar liked We the People. Logic, and this is the beauty of being a degenerate. Logic does not usually prevail. In fact, it's just the exact opposite. Whatever contrarian theory you can come up with, you're going to be better off in the long run if you embrace that than you are if you're going to just follow the common wisdom and logic, which is very fundamentally sound, right? We the People going to get the lead. Boom, boogaloo. Speed prevails. Everybody else was just a deep closer. These were horses that come from the clouds. They were going to be set up for a fall by a slow pace. They were going to crawl out there in the front end. We the People, jiggity jog all the way, wire to wire, like Riva Ridge, wire to wire. And that didn't turn out to be the case, Lubie. That theory went up in smoke, I think, fairly quickly. And from behind, I guess stalking a pace was Mo Donegal. And a very nice win. Todd Pletcher runs 1-2 with the Philly Nest running second and Skippy Longstocking completing. And this would have been the move, I guess, if you liked Mo Donegal, which a lot of people did. Just hammered his horse over Nest and Skippy Longstocking, and you could have cashed tickets all day long. Thousands could have been won there, Lubie. That was the only way to do it. You needed a $20 cold try, which, of course, we were more than willing to give out on the show, but we held our opinion back because and we're very convinced and convincing that their horses were going to prevail. So that was a wipeout over the weekend. But no, I had a great time. I was good seeing you out at the track there on Friday.
Good seeing you, sir.
Piscataway Ray was there. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. He was punching. He's a very quiet puncher. He's subtle. He goes to the body, this guy. He does. He'll have the lunchbox coming up 12 o'clock today right here on South Florida Live. So we have another show, which is great.
There you go. More to come and more to come. So appreciate everyone who tuned in on this inaugural edition.
Mix in a lot of stuff. You know what? This kind of interests me.
It'll
be more so than I even have thought about because we were trying to get this thing off the ground. But no, this is very much my bag.
I know.
The old, Defo radio concept.
Talked about it for like 13 years. I'm well aware.
Yeah, we'll involve some good people here and try and expand the horizons, and then hopefully sell it off to some entity like Portnoy for a couple of $zillion.
I don't want to. Whatever you say. I'm not focused on that part.
And I'm going to angle that last half hour of the show towards degeneracy 5 days a week, I believe.
Let's do it. I'm down.
And we're going to get deeply into that with a bunch of different types of shows, all featuring the same general theme, which is ways for you to separate yourself from your money. Because, logic would dictate that Golden State wins this series now. They have the home court advantage for 2 out of 3. Going to be very difficult, you would think, for Boston to recover. I find myself, Lubie, you're going to find this surprising, rooting for the Boston Celtics in the series. Although I'm not going to be overwhelmingly upset if Golden State wins. I like Steph Curry, and Steve Kerr seems like a real honorable guy. They've been a great story. They had to come back from the grave also, so it wasn't like... Did they have one of those San Antonio things happen where all of their guys were out and somehow, even though they already had the Admiral, they were able to draft Tim Duncan because they had one really bad year?
Well, it's the last 2 years. Yeah, the last 2 years they were disaster between Curry injuries and Thompson injuries and Katie leaving and Draymond injuries that they were able to
So they ended up getting a
Kuminga.
couple of top picks. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Although Wiseman, what happened to him? He's out.
He was hurt this year. Obviously. He was hurt this year, but a lot of people think he can become something special. And Kuminga was a guy that in his draft could have been the number 1 overall pick, and they got at 7 or something and he has a lot of potential. That kid.
And Wiggins has really been a big catalyst.
Well, and then you get freaking Poole, who no one had thought anything could
Poole
be.
Came out of nowhere.
Curry.
Yeah. Good team. I mean, when they get LeBron next year, it's going to be really interesting, isn't it?
I just love when LeBron does that. It's like, LeBron, you know what you're doing. Come on, dude. The 2 teams he mentions, the Heat and the Warriors, what?
Yeah. Pat Riley, man, would he ever be able to get over that thing? I mean, you see how hard it takes defeat.
He would.
You think he would just go running back to the circus and sign LeBron, hoping that LeBron showed up this time?
I don't know if it would be at
to the
steakhouse,
place. Man. Who's you ate at the circus steakhouse, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh no, you weren't with us. That's right.
You described it enough where I don't ever need to eat there.
It's good. No, Circus Steakhouse is great. It's called the Steakhouse. It just happens to be in a dump of a hotel where, literally, as you walk outside, once you get outside of the steakhouse, where the prices are in line easily with Las Vegas standards and probably a little bit reasonable compared to some other places like that Gordon Ramsay place. But no, excellent. I think it was excellent.
Oh, that's good.
I really do. Yeah. It was great. And then you walk outside and you realize, wow, I mean, there's a whole nother universe out here at the Circus that isn't particularly well heeled. Like Sonny Liston wouldn't want to walk through the casino there back in the day when he was collecting money for the mob. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Been a lot of fun. Also catch us on Believe Network, BLEAV. We still doing that, Lubie?
Believe Network, yes, sir. And 5 Reasons as well. You can check us out each and every day.
5 Reasons too? Oh, great. All right.
Yes, I don't want to get rid of anybody. That's the whole point of this is to be partners with people and to grow together. That's at least my idea. We'll see how it works.
That is a wonderful hippy-dippy concept that I can embrace warmly here on the show.
I've got it from you.
All right, thanks, guys, for tuning in. And tell your friends where to find us. We're going to continue to try to get the word out to all of the people that enjoyed the show.
Yes.
I didn't hear from the great Andy today. I don't know. Does he have this link?
Yeah, well, he's not calling himself Tiv. He was here. He was Andy. He used his government name, Andrew Peters. That's Andy Tiv.
Oh, I was thinking, who that?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't think Defo realizes that. That's Andy, man.
No, I actually wasn't paying that close attention to the chat line today. I did see a couple of people, your wife and the great Mike Nyman, making comments here, and we're greatly appreciative of that. Hope to engage that a lot more because it really is a lot of fun. It's kind of like the new way of doing a radio talk show, and especially now that we have the visual. All right, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, 12 o'clock today, South Florida Live. There's content up there, I guess, all the time now, Lubie. Is that true?
Yes, it's there. It's archived.
Sort
we have a playlist. Mike Mayo has a playlist. We're talking to
punch
some
up
other
that thing
people
too, people on the Dolphins defensive staff, man. That thing is great. I never laughed so hard in my life. It was fantastic. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 7 as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.